well connected could transform New Yorkers' day-to-day lives. That remains my defining goal in City Hall, to deliver our affordability agenda for those who have too long been forgotten by our politics, to make a dignified life a reality for each and every person who calls this city their home. But that mission, it's part of a larger purpose, which is to restore New Yorkers' faith in a democracy that many have long felt abandoned by. New Yorkers often associate government with an irrelevance to their day-to-day struggles, associated with the possibility only of meager results, small ideas, and even smaller follow-through, agendas that are quicker to say no rather than eager to get to yes. I want to write a different story from our City Hall, a story of ambition, of reinvention, where working people know that they have fierce champions at every level of government and know that they can turn to those fortunate enough to serve them. Few agencies hold transformative power more than DCWP and are more ready to be supercharged to actually work for New Yorkers and address their concerns. There's not a single New Yorker, frankly, whose life is untouched by DCWP. Whether you are a consumer, a small business owner, an employee, the DCWP has the ability and remit to stand up for your rights and to fight predatory practices across the 5 boroughs. I want the next commissioner of this great agency to approach their role with a track record of achievement and an agenda of imagination, someone unafraid to take on entrenched interests. In Sam Levine, that is exactly the kind of leadership New Yorkers will get. Sam's pedigree is undeniable. From 2021 until this January, he served as the director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protections, leading many of these same efforts on a national scale. What he achieved is not only remarkable, it has made measurable differences in the lives of millions of Americans. We pay less in junk fees, avoid deceitful subscription traps, trust that our data has been safeguarded, and are exposed to far less illegal telemarketing thanks to Sam's work. Before leading the Bureau of Consumer Protections, Sam advised FTC Commissioner Rohit Chopra and worked for the Illinois Attorney General, ensuring that those who were often forgotten not only had someone who would protect them, but also championing their struggles. Proud to be standing here appointing Sam to this role because of his experience leading work that restores people's trust in government, not because it is something of only a day-to-day importance, but frankly because this is part of the long-term objectives and goals of our government and what government should aspire to everywhere. Sam will work alongside our Deputy Mayor for Economic Justice, Julie Su, to protect New York City's 80,000 deliveristas who are as New York City as it gets. He will enforce the laws we have on the books now for consumers and workers alike. He will make DCWP a force to be reckoned with, one that refuses to allow corporations to treat their employees as expendable. When he succeeds, that success will be felt in a city that is vibrant with flourishing small businesses, in markets full of people who can afford to buy gifts and goods for themselves and their loved ones, in workers who know that their leaders, in fact, have their backs, and in an economy that is fairer and more accessible for all. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor Lett.
Very well.
Thank you, Mayor Lett, for the opportunity to serve as your next Commissioner of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. I'm a relatively new New Yorker, but my family has deep roots here. In fact, my grandmother, Eleanor Levy, grew up on the Lower East Side, just a few blocks from where I live today. She was a teacher here in the city, and it's a great honor to carry on that tradition of public service. I believe that the law is a tool for justice. It's not a static text, but a living and breathing instrument that has the power to transform the lives of working people. This belief has driven my work across these last 2 decades, from spearheading efforts to challenge illegal foreclosures when I was in law school, to taking on predatory for-profit schools as an assistant attorney general, returning millions of dollars to defrauded students. I believe the law is how we hold bad actors accountable. This is the work I was so proud to lead as director of the Bureau of Consumer Protection at the Federal Trade Commission. In that role, I took on Grubhub for exploiting delivery drivers and restaurants, Care.com for misleading home health care workers, Amazon and its top executives for trapping people in subscriptions they didn't want, Meta and TikTok for stealing our data and putting our children at risk. And I fought to close loopholes that let scammers and predatory lenders prey on small businesses with impunity. I believe that city government cannot be a passive bystander as corporations scheme to exploit working New Yorkers. I believe we must be relentless, diligent, and innovative in how we defend the people who built the city and call it home. The need for strong leadership at the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection is at an all-time high. Millions of New Yorkers are being crushed by the cost of living crisis. The 80,000 deliveristas who weave about Manhattan and Brooklyn delivering food and medicine. The thousands of working-class taxi drivers who take us to the airport and to our friends' homes. Tenants struggling with junk fees on top of sky-high rent. The bodegas who line our street corners, the bodegas we start and end our days at. These working-class New Yorkers are the very heart of this city. There is simply no New York without them. And it is time they have a city government that has their back. As Commissioner for the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, I'll make sure that every gig worker, small business owner, independent contractor, and consumer knows their rights and knows with confidence that they have a champion in the city government. Gone are the days when companies like Instacart and DoorDash can bully their way into record profits on the backs of workers and consumers. Gone are the days when laws like just cause protections are allowed to be overlooked or forgotten. Gone are the days when we let key economic justice tools collect dust instead of using them to advance fairness for working people. I want to thank two of my colleagues and role models who have demonstrated that the world we dream of is within reach. Lena Khan, who served as chair of the FTC, now as co-chair of the transition team, and Rohit Chopra, who I served at the FTC and most recently led the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I also want to say, to the community organizations who have been leading this work long before me, I am so looking forward to hearing from you about your fight and to joining it alongside you. To Workers United, Workers Justice Project, Street Vendor Project, National Domestic Workers Alliance, Bronx Works, and the deliveristas who power the city, thank you to all you have done for keeping the dream of New York City alive. To our union partners, like UAW, 32BJ, and HTC, you have set standards for entire industries through collective bargaining, new organizing, and innovative policy and legislation. All New Yorkers benefit from your efforts, and I am looking forward to this continued partnership. To Julie Su, the incoming deputy mayor for economic justice, I have so much faith in your ability to keep the spotlight on working people bright, and I'm ready to serve alongside you. Lastly, I want to thank the people of New York for putting their trust in me. I look forward to getting to work. Thanks very much.
We have made a commitment over the course of the campaign that we intend to fulfill of doubling the funding that DCWP has, and the questions of specific allocations are conversations that I'll be having with our commissioner and our deputy mayor.
And what do you think with that expanded funding the DCWP can do to keep workers safe on the streets, keep pedestrians safe when they're walking around?
I think we've seen time and time again that the efficacy of a law or a protection can only be measured by the knowledge of it and the use of it. And there are so many existing laws that we have had, whether for the last few months or the last few years, that are not actually being enforced, and we know that funding is a critical reason for that. And so in doubling the funding for DCWP, we are confident in increasing its efficacy in enforcement and also in oversight.
I have an off-topic.
Okay, on-topic question, Dennis.
Hi, Sam Morgan,
Please.
could you just say a little more about these legal authorities? I know it's been reported that Congress is working on this in transition as well as what these potential legal avenues are that you feel like have been underutilized or collecting dust.
Certainly. So for one, New York has a really strong consumer protection law that allows DCWP to go after unconscionable practices like price gouging and deceptive practices. This city also has some of the strongest worker protection laws, especially for gig workers in the city. And as the mayor-elect said, I really want a city in which every worker knows that if they're getting ripped off on the job, if their schedule isn't predictable, if they're getting nickeled and dimed or deplatformed or deactivated by a gig platform, they can call 311, talk to DCWP, and they will have the resources and the will to take action to hold those companies accountable and ensure justice for our workers. Well, the state just strengthened its consumer protection law, which we're very happy to see, but the city has its own consumer protection law.
On topic, thank you. For both of you, there's a push by private companies like Waymo to introduce automated driving into the city. You mentioned protecting taxi drivers, taxi workers. Do you see a way to protect taxi drivers with automated driving? Is something that you think should be introduced?
Is that something? What do we?
Do you think that automated driving should be allowed?
Look, I think that if Waymo finds itself here in New York City, then our city government will be sure to provide not only oversight but also regulation, and that is both true to what the purview will be of DCWP and also beyond that throughout our entire city government.
Hello, how are you both?
Doing well. How are you?
Related to Amy's question is about AI. That's a really good thing, especially under a current mayor who loves technology. You could say, you know, is that something that you're going to be looking at, and in which ways do you think you could, you know, I know some people are thinking of AI right now, some legislation. I mean, what would be your role in protecting many people, even us in the media, from these computers possibly taking away jobs?
I think that it's a concern I've heard from many New Yorkers, and in terms of the potential impact of widespread job loss. I know it's already a reality for a number today, but that number is only going to grow. And so we are going to be sure, whether we're speaking of DCWP or just city government in general, look to protect workers, look to also ensure that the conversations around artificial intelligence are those that will help New Yorkers as opposed to ones where they will end up becoming the cost of the implementation.
On topic questions? Yeah. Go ahead, Josie.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Josie?
So under Mayor Adams, street vendor enforcement sweeps shifted from under DCWP to sanitation. De Blasio had made it under the purview of DCWP. Would you support going back to putting this under DCWP?
Those are conversations that we're going to have with the commissioner and with the deputy mayor.
And then I have a second question. Sorry about my voice.
No worries.
So Mayor Adams recently jetted off to Mexico and then Georgia. I think he's still out in the world somewhere. Is this having any impact on the logistics of your transition at all? And do you want to make your inauguration next week?
It is not having an impact on our transition, and the mayor is invited, as are New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, to join us in celebrating the beginning of a new era in our politics.
Jennifer, we're doing off topic, yeah. Can you talk to us, Mr. Mamdani, more about the inauguration, the plans? I mean, it's the first time here, at least in New York City, we've seen like a block party afterwards. Do you plan on joining the people after you get inaugurated? And where did the thought come to do this?
You know, the reason that I'm standing before you as the mayor-elect of our incredible city is because of the support, not just of those who voted for me, but frankly for those who volunteered over the course of this campaign. We had more than 100,000 volunteers. And so we wanted to ensure that as we celebrated the beginning of our administration, it was a celebration that was not simply for the typical people who would be invited to an inauguration, but in fact for everyone. And we're already so heartened by the response from New Yorkers who understand that this is not my success, it's our success. It's not my administration, it's our administration. Similarly, it's not my inauguration, it's for all of us. And I think that I'm so excited, frankly, at the prospect of celebrating the entirety of our city as we look to the work that we have to do moving forward.
Are you going to join any of those New Yorkers along the party route?
I currently I do not know.
When the election was over, you had 2 months of transition. Now you got 9 days. funny how that happens. I'm wondering if you feel like sending a message to New Yorkers about building your administration. Is it possible that you take office with major vacancies still in place, be it deputy mayors or commissioners? And if that happens, what should New Yorkers take away from that?
We are fully confident in the team that we are assembling and in the pace at which we are assembling it. When we take office on January 1st, we will have our cabinet ready to deliver for New Yorkers, and there will obviously be appointments that continue beyond that time, as it always does under other administrations, but we will have the people in place necessary to start to deliver not only on our affordability agenda, but frankly, to deliver on the day-to-day services that New Yorkers require.
Yeah, Maureen. Just wondering where you're going to be having your secret swearing in admin night, and then for this 4,000 people, spill the secret. But for this 4,000 people that are getting tickets to the actual ceremony, who are those people? Can anyone apply for those tickets? And then what sort of security precautions are there going to be for the block party? Do you guys know how many officers you guys are going to have? Will there be barricades? So forth.
So I can't tell you the specifics in terms of the number of officers, but I am deeply thankful to the NYPD for their work in protecting New Yorkers and the work that they will do on that day, and also protecting New Yorkers and ensuring it's a day of celebration. And the New Yorkers that the 4,000 New Yorkers will be ones that we invite. However, the block party is an invitation to all. And then your final question, I think, the swearing in at 12:01. Those are details we will be releasing soon.
We all saw that Kat Acosta stepped down, and I think you might be aware the ADL just released a report on the more than 400 people you appointed to transition committees. Among that report, they identified Ms. Ansari, who posted a cartoon depicting Israel as a dog. There was another person on the Committee on Worker Justice, Kazi Fuzia, who said resistance is justified hours after October 7th. Someone else saying Zionism is racism from the Committee on Legal Affairs. Someone from the Committee on Worker Justice who shared a post that said Zionists are worse than the Inquisition and the Nazis. Will the policy of your administration be to reject candidates who are actually hired to your administration when they express anti-Semitic positions or have anti-Semitic statements in the past? Are you going to automatically reject them from your administration? And then were any of these statements or these people that I identified or that were identified in the report, were these already flagged or identified by your transition team?
So I have always spoken out against anti-Semitism and hatred in any form, and have made it clear that the commitment I have made to protect New Yorkers, to protect Jewish New Yorkers, is one that I will uphold as the next mayor of this city. And we must distinguish between anti-Semitism and criticism of the Israeli government. The ADL's report oftentimes ignores this distinction, and in doing so, it draws attention away from the very real crisis of anti-Semitism we see not only just in our city, but in the country at large. And this is a team we are speaking of more than 400 New Yorkers that we have assembled to advise on the transition. These are committees, 17 of which that range from worker justice to the importance of the arts. And we will continue to build an administration of appointees that reflect not only our commitments, but also the fulfillment of our affordability agenda.
But did any of those examples I read, or in the report, if your team looked at it, did any of those go too far to where you said, okay, this is kind of anti-Semitic?
I think there's no tolerance for anti-Semitism, and also when we're thinking about critiques of Zionism and different forms of political expression, as much of what this report focuses on, there's a wide variety of political opinion, even within our own 400-plus transition committee, on the Israeli government and its conduct. Yeah, please.
I was on the transition committee. I'm also a Jewish New Yorker. I have every confidence that the mayor-elect will be a mayor for all New Yorkers. If I had any doubt whatsoever, I would not be standing here today.
Thank you guys so much. All right.
Thank you.